Hey, it's Heidi. Welcome back for another video. I'm so glad you're here. I have something really good for you today. Tremendous value. Trust. If trust is an issue for you, and if you're watching my videos, I do believe it likely is an issue for you, meaning it takes you a long time to trust. And then actually when you do finally trust, you find that you trust the wrong people or you trust too quickly. Two sides of the same trust coin, over trusting and under trusting. And so basically what I want to do today is give you these radical new ideas about trust and how to rebuild it. Because the truth is, you want to learn how to trust people, right? You want to learn how to actually know the difference of when you can trust and when not to trust. It can be maddening. And actually it happens to the best of us. It happens to really smart people. It's not dumb people who have this issue, okay? The other thing I know about you, beside the fact you have trust issues, is that you're smart. And how do I know you're smart? Because you're here. Okay? So it can really happen to anybody. In fact, I remember not too many years ago, actually it was a while ago now, it was over a decade ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday because it was such a traumatic time for me in my life. Here I was, extremely successful, able to be an international business consultant, flying around all over the place, fixing companies, strategizing, understanding how to build things and how to make things work. And then I would fly home to my highly dysfunctional relationship with a man that was emotionally unavailable, where I'd land, I'd put my bags away and proceed to go through his stuff. And I would want to know what he did when I was away, right? And I'd be checking his emails and his search history online. And I'd be, back in those days, checking the phone records and randomly resorting to randomly recalling people and trying to see if I could bust them that way, rifling through his pockets. I mean, I was a hot mess, really. And the reality was that I just wanted to be in a relationship with somebody that I could trust them, that I didn't have to have that constant state of worry all the time that something bad was going to happen, that he was going to stray, or that something else was going to come along and steal his time and attention away from me. But I always felt like he was kind of doing the wrong thing or up to no good. And the reality was, 9 times out of 10, when I was looking for that stuff, I found it. But I wanted to be in the relationship, right? I was in that relationship for a very long time. And the whole time, the question I asked myself is, how can I trust him? How can I trust him? Since then, obviously, I've worked with hundreds of clients, and it manifests this trust issue in different kinds of relationships as well. There are mothers who trust their children to stop doing drugs. And they let them back in their houses, and they trust that their child is doing the right thing, that they're going to meetings, that they're taking care of their recovery, only to find that it's not just their stuff they're stealing, it's their sanity too, because they're being lied to and manipulated. There are wives in a similar situation with husbands. It goes all across the gamut, right? So if you're here, this is for you today, because I'm actually going to give you 5 tactical, tangible strategies you can apply today to radically understand how to rebuild trust in your life. Such an important video for you, and I'm so glad to be delivering it for you today. So if you know somebody who can benefit from this video, because they talk to you all the time, like, I just can't trust them. I don't know, I just can't trust. I just can't. Send them the video. You're off the hook, right? You can stop having to play counselor and therapist and send them to somebody a little more qualified in that arena, because here's the truth. Even though you're probably giving good advice and ideas to everybody else, number one, you don't follow it yourself. And number two, you're too close to the situation to help that person, right? Sometimes it takes somebody else coming in and singing the same song so that they finally get it. So I've taken some notes today so I don't leave anything out, because it's really, these are so good that I don't want to get to talking and then miss something. So I'm going to keep them here. All right. The first tip that I have for you today on how to rebuild trust in a relationship once it's been broken is, Maya Angelou said it a long time ago, it's one of Oprah's favorite quotes, is when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. So the lie that we're believing actually is that we can't trust people. You actually can trust people. You can trust them to be exactly who they are. Now here's what happens. I wanted to trust my boyfriend to be a boyfriend. I wanted to trust him to be loyal and faithful and interested in me and my needs and available in all aspects of the sense of the word. And like I said, faithful at the bare minimum, right? So I put my trust in that. I want to trust that I have a boyfriend. But honey, the reality was I didn't have a boyfriend. I had let's call him Mr. Big, okay? I had a Mr. Big, and Mr. Big behaved the way how he did, and the reality was I could trust him to be exactly who he was. My problem was I was fighting the reality of who he was and boxing him into somebody I wanted him to be for me instead. You can trust people to be exactly who they are. You realize that there are things called negative trust, right? Where somebody keeps doing this behavior over and over again. They continually lie to you. They continually cheat on you. They continually mistreat you. You actually can trust that that's what's going to happen. Not can I trust the opposite is going to happen. So the whole time you're building trust, right? We're going to talk about how to rebuild trust out of that negative trust into the positive. But the first thing that you really need to understand is the basics is you can trust everybody to be exactly who they are. What you can't trust is your ideal image of who you want them to be or wish they would be instead, right? That's like trade, what we want to do is trade fiction for facts, right? We want to trade fantasy for facts. So when you're realizing that you can trust people to be exactly who they are, and when you're rebuilding trust, you carry this first philosophy with you, you're going to move into number 2, which is when you're rebuilding trust with somebody, I don't want you to listen to a word that comes out of their mouth. Now, people get really uptight when I say this. Well, like, how am I supposed to, what's the power of positive thinking? I'm supposed to speak in existence what I want, and what do you mean? I'm not supposed to believe them? No, honey, you're not. I don't want you to listen to what people say. I want you to watch what they do. Everything you need to know about somebody shows up in how they behave. Not in how they intend to behave or who they want to be for you, but how they actually show up for you. In fact, I remember when I would be breaking up with that boyfriend, and I'd say, I had enough, okay? Do you know what would happen every time we broke up? Oh my God, I've come to my senses. I realize, that's what he would say, right? I realize the error of my ways. I want nothing more than to be with you. I want nothing more than to be faithful to you. And in fact, I promise you that if we get back together, you can trust me because I'm going to be so transparent. I'm going to do exactly what I say. I'm going to leave my phone out, not take it into the bathroom with me every time I go in, right? I'm going to do these things. Those are intentions, not reality. And so the only way I can get sucked into that, right? The dopamine starts flooding my brain with this positive thinking. I get really excited that it's going to change. But the only real indicator I have is actually what happens when we get back in. Because, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Restricting something creates desire for it. So as soon as I come out of that relationship, of course, his natural inclination is going to be, oh man, I can do all these things. But people are only going to do what they're going to do. When I was working in the recovery world and I was a life coach and a relationship expert inside of a drug and alcohol treatment center, the clients would say, oh, I'm done with drugs. I'm going to live this life. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to, as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to turn my life around. I'm going to meditate every day. I'm going to, be so into my recovery. I'm just going to be, a vision of health. But they were already in the recovery process. So how they were behaving today was a really good indicator of how they're going to be behaving when they get released or out of treatment, right? So they would sit in the back row. They wouldn't come and sit in the front, or, they wouldn't get up and move and exercise, or they wouldn't attend yoga or meditation when it was offered. But when I get out, I'm going to. As soon as I get the chance to do that, I will. But the chance is now. The time is now, right? So people are either doing the damn thing or they're not doing the damn thing. But when you get sucked into what they're telling you, you lose your mind. You lose your sense of reality because, again, those neurotransmitters of well-being cloud your neocortex. They shut it down, and ain't nobody home, and you're not in your right mind. So watch what people do, not what they say. Keep your wits about you, all right? Let's look at number 3. Girl, stop doing all the heavy lifting. When somebody tells you they're going to change, that's not your responsibility to figure out how they're going to change and what you need to do to help them change. So it's like, somebody says, well, yeah, I want to change. I want to do everything. What's the plan? Well, it's not my job to come up with your plan, right? I notice this a lot in recovery, in particular when I'm dealing with families that have loved ones that are trying to recover from alcohol addiction or what have you. that they want to see the change so desperately that they're afraid that it's not going to happen, so they need to stay in control of it. So they start mapping out the details. Well, here's where you're going to go to meetings, and here's what you're going to do, and here's how you're going to take care of that, right? Or if somebody cheats and in a marriage and they come in because there's a broken trust, and then the wife says, well, here's the plan. I'm going to know where you are every minute. I'm going to have access to all of your statements of everything. Like, they're coming up with the plan of how to rebuild the trust. That ain't your job. That's not your job. Whoever broke the trust is their responsibility to come up with the plan. So there's your first indicator. If you're doing all the strategizing, well, here's what you need to do in order for me to build trust with you, that person really isn't interested in building the trust with you. They're interested in pleasing you so they can have whatever they want from you, right? Just tell me what to do and I'll freaking do it. All right, well, that's real motivating, right? Let them come up with all the ideas, okay? Cruising right along. Let's do number 4. This is one of the most important things, all right? So let's say you have somebody who, you know, you're watching who they are, you're watching what they do, know what they say, and they actually are coming up, watching what they do, know what they say, and they are coming up with a plan, and by God, the holy ground has parted, and these people are actually changing and rebuilding trust with you. They actually are doing the damn thing. It's unbelievable. They're going to the meetings. They're not cheating. They're being totally open book. They're being faithful. They're being reliable. They have integrity. Now here's where your part comes in. Do you have the courage to step out of the past into the present moment and to be here now and to allow it to happen? You know, when people change, you have to let them. So that's another really big indicator, right? Is it now this is where it's yo shit, right? It's your stuff that comes up. It's kind of like when you're I liken this to being in a hurricane. We live in Florida, and every hurricane season, whether we like it or not, we've got to prepare. We've got to put the shutters up. We've got to go to Costco with the rest of the jerks and get all the water and all the food and, you know, and like load up our cart and participate in the battery propaganda, right? And get everything we need and the headlamps and shit. So we prepare because we know a storm's coming. If you're in a relationship with somebody that's dysfunctional or toxic, you're likely doing the same thing. You know, you're preparing, you're battening down the hatches. If you don't know how to do that, that's part of my work. I teach you how to do that. Those are called boundaries, right? And you learn how to prepare yourself so you don't keep getting hurt all the time. But anyway, let's say that you know how to do that to protect yourself. And let's say the hurricane's pretty nasty and you get pummeled with this hurricane. Well, what happens when it passes? Well, the sun comes out. You know, the weather brightens up, the birds start flying around, it's calmer, it's peaceful, the damage is done, and you step into the light. So, but a lot of people actually, what they do, even in my neighborhood, they leave their damn shutters up till Christmas, right? They keep leaving their shutters up. They don't want to step outside, another hurricane's coming. They can't enjoy the present moment. Here's the deal. If you have somebody in your life who's done you wrong, who's hurt you, and they are doing the right things, and they are showing you the indicators of change, and they are coming up with the plan and following through on that, then it's your responsibility to take down your shutters. It's your responsibility to step into the sunshine and enjoy the moment. Oh, but Heidi, I can't do that because another hurricane's going to come. I can't. The other shoe's going to drop. I can't let my guard down. Guess what? The other shoe's going to drop anyway. Something bad's going to happen down the road anyway. I hate to burst your bubble, but that's the nature of life. So what happens is, while you're waiting for the next hurricane to come, because surely it will, because that's how life works, you're going to miss the sunshine. And the sunshine might be brief. I don't know how long you have in the sunshine before the next hurricane comes, but why don't you enjoy the season you're in? And if you're with somebody who's doing the right thing, and you wanted them to do that your whole life, your whole time with them, why don't you step into the light and let them do the damn thing, right? Yeah. All right? If you're having trouble doing that, well, Heidi, you can't do that because there's too much pain. I get that. You've been hurt. That's where I come in too. I can help you process that pain because while they're better and they're like, hey, that was in the past, let's move on, and you're not inclined to do that because you have unhealed hurt. You can't go to the person who caused the pain to heal the pain. You've got to come somewhere else to process that pain so you can be with the person. And that's what I'm for. That's where I can help you do it. If anything is sounding interesting so far to you, a way to find out more about how I can help you with that is to go over to lovecoachheidi.com, and there'll be a little spinning picture of me like this. And you just click on it and schedule a complimentary discovery call. and we'll see how I can help you. All right. Number 5, let's go to the last one. So you've done everything, you've watched their nature, you've gone through the steps, right? You've let them do all the heavy lifting, you've watched what they've done, not what they've said, and you've stepped out of the hurricane and take the shutters down and be in the present moment. The last piece of advice I have for you is learn how to cultivate and develop trust in yourself. And this is probably one of the biggest things. There are people in your life that you shouldn't trust, right? And you keep giving them other chances. And how do you know? The alarm bells go off. There's this little internal guidance system that you're blessed to have, right? That's like your internal GPS that goes, turn left, honey. Don't go right with that one. That one ain't right, right? It's telling you what to do. And you go, shh, I don't want it to be that way. I like this person. All right? Because they excite me. And you keep ignoring that consciousness that you have here because you'd rather have the companionship than the consciousness, right? You'd rather have the sex than the sacred no. You know what I mean? So what I want to encourage you to do is to get in that space where you learn how to cultivate your inner wisdom, your inner truth, to find your real truth and follow that internal guidance system, because up here is clouded. You've gotten a lot of mixed messages about trust, who you can trust, who you can't trust. Likely a lot of people in your life who you have trusted have hurt you. So you've got your wires crossed and it's not your fault. But let me help you uncross the wires so that you learn how to root back down into that authentic truth, that knowing of what's right for you and what's wrong for you, so that you can't get stuck in this loop anymore of wondering who to trust and how to trust. I know that when I was finally listening to my internal guidance system and I got out of that 10-year relationship, okay, that I was constantly learning how to just trust him to be the person I wanted him to be instead of who he really was. I liberated myself that day. And then I said, let me cultivate my internal guidance system. Let me see if it will navigate me to the people that are for my highest good. Let me see if I just allow and watch people for who they are instead of who I want them to be. And I don't let my chemistry lead the way, right? I let my curiosity for my better interests lead the way, my consciousness lead the way, then chemistry. What'll happen? And I have to tell you, what happened is it led me to my husband. It led me to my partner on this journey, who I'm going to tell you, I don't worry a day in my life about. There isn't a moment I wake up and go, is he talking to some? I mean, Lord have mercy. I can't tell you how liberating that is. Or I don't go, is he going to do the right thing by me? Right? But I have to tell you, it took me a long time to untangle the mess that I had made of trusting the wrong people and continuing to get hurt and learning how not to have these unconscious trauma bonds that I had, because that's what they were. I want the same for you. Go over to lovecoachheidi.com. In the meantime, practice one of these 5 things and you'll be set. But if you really want to make change, not about going to the water fountain and drinking a little bit. That's what you did today, right? You came to my water fountain of knowledge. You drank a little bit. You quenched your thirst for figuring out how to change this and turn this around. But if you really want change and you really want this to take root in your life, you're going to have to dig a well and go deep. And I hope you dig that well with me. All right? I love you so much. Take excellent care of yourself. I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.